Professor Imagawa, would you please explain the background behind the deep-rooted hatred among Cambodia's three main political parties?
Cambodia's last general election took place on July the 27th. Generally speaking, the voting proceeded with freedom and fairness and without violence. However, both the Hun Sinpec Party and the Samransi Party that were defeated in the election refused to admit the election results. Instead, present the ruling Cambodian People's Party an excessive demand that its leader Hun Sen resign from the post of Prime Minister. The 123 seats at the National Assembly have been allocated to the three parties according to the number of votes they won in elections. The Cambodian People's Party now has 73 seats, the Hun Sinpec Party 26 seats, and the Samransi Party 24 seats. But so far, the politicians have not gathered even once for discussions, selected either president or deputy president of the National Assembly, or approved a new government. On November 5th, the three political parties agreed to form a tripartite coalition mediated by the nation's highly respected monarch, King Norodom Sihanouk. But additional problems occurred after the agreement. The Cambodian People's Party is united and it is ready to respect King Sihanouk's suggestion. So, the Cambodian People's Party asks the other parties for concession. On the other hand, the Hun Sinpec Party sees split among its members, and the Samransi Party sticks to the demagogic attitude and raise objections against anything.
How has Cambodia's long political stalemate after the July elections been affecting its domestic politics, economy, and the people's living?
The previous government is still in charge of the daily administration, and there are no serious confusions in the national economy or the people's living so far. However, it is thought that difficult problems will surface one after another as soon as the year 2004 begins, because a new fiscal year starts on January the 1st in Cambodia. As of present, the National Assembly is not functioning properly. A new government is not approved, so it is feared that the budget for the coming fiscal year might not be drawn, or that a coalition government might not start working on the state affairs in time. Accordingly, not only the national treasury but also the national finance will become badly off, and the Cambodian people will come to suffer from a number of difficulties. Then King Sihanouk persuaded them to understand that both winners and losers must respect the election result as full-fledged members of a democracy with constitutional monarchism. He told them to form a patriotic tripartite government and gave compromise proposals. In honor of the king, the three parties accepted the proposal and broadly agreed to 3 points. First, Hun Sen of the Cambodian People's Party will lead a coalition as Prime Minister. Second, Hun Sinpec Party leader Prince Norodom Sihanouk will take the post of President of the National Assembly. And third, 3 deputy presidents of the Assembly will be selected from the Cambodian People's Party and the Samransi Party, 2 from Cambodian People's Party and 1 from Samransi Party. At the end of the discussion, the 3 parties' leaders signed the agreement. The agreement was attested and also signed by the superintendent priests of 2 Buddhist sects.
King Sihanouk celebrated his 81st birthday on October the 31st. Reports say that the 81-year-old King Sihanouk called the 3 parties' leaders to his palace in the middle of November and urged them to unite. Professor Imagawa, you visited Cambodia late last month and was presented to the king. How anxious was King Sihanouk about the present political crisis in Cambodia?
I was received in audience by King Sihanouk on November the 25th and had talks about various topics for about 1 hour and 40 minutes. As for the Cambodian politics, King Sihanouk said that he was deeply concerned about the present situation, but he could do nothing about it, except for that he saw how things would go. According to King Sihanouk's explanation, King called 10 leading members from the Cambodian People's Party and 5 leading members from each of the Funsimpek Party and the Samransi Party. In other words, he called the equal number of people from both the victorious side and the defeated side. However, as early as the next day, both the Funsimpek Party and Samransi Party broke the promise that their leaders had signed before the king. King Sihanouk was deeply disappointed, so he called all the assembly members to his palace for lunch on November the 17th and tried once again to persuade them to show understanding to his suggestions. At the meeting, the assembly members unanimously agreed that they would follow the king's suggestion. Therefore, King Sihanouk told them to go to the assembly hall, select the president and deputies of the National Assembly and heads of various committees, and normalize the assembly management within the same day. King Sihanouk sent them leave his palace in agreement. However, the members of the 3 parties returned to the antagonistic situation as soon as they had left the palace. Disappointed, King Sihanouk told me that he had nothing else to do anymore. He is the king of a constitutional monarchy, so he reigns but does not govern. He did his best to influence the politicians mentally, but his attempt ended in failure. The only thing left for him to do with the present political situation of Cambodia was to watch silently how things would develop. King Sihanouk also said that he was supposed to be in mourning at the time he called for early settlement of the nation's political crisis because his youngest son, Prince Norodom Narindrapon, passed away on October the 3rd. He broke with tradition for his strong passion for helping rescue his country and failed in persuading the politicians to go back to what they would supposed to do. So he said he would be silent at least until the end of the year. But King Sihanouk added that he would think of taking action again if there are no positive development in Cambodia's political stalemate in the new fiscal year. He would think hard to lead the political crisis to settlement in January, and make the Cambodian National Assembly and government grow into constitutional and legal form.
Professor, how do you forecast the future of Cambodian politics?
Well, I think the future of the Cambodian politics will depend on how effectively King Sihanouk can persuade the stubborn politicians of the opposition parties and lead them to the right track of democracy. Fortunately, King Sihanouk is on very good terms with Hun Sen, who is the Cambodian People's Party's strongman. Hun Simpec's Prince Ranarit and Samransi Party's Sam Rainsy are strongly opposed to Hun Sen, but neither of them can neglect King Sihanouk's suggestion flatly. So, it is probable that the three parties will form a coalition, although it will take some time for them to come to agreement in the distribution of cabinet ministers. Cambodia's new coalition government will be inaugurated on about December the 25th at the earliest, but the inauguration will be postponed till about mid-January if things do not go smoothly.
Japan maintains friendly relations with Cambodia, and it is the biggest donor to the Southeast Asian country. Finally, Professor Imagawa, what role does Japan have to play for the sake of Cambodia today?
I think Japan has to keep on providing assistance to Cambodia for its peace, stability, development, and growth. However, I must say that Japan has to set the ultimate aims of its assistance to Cambodia's economic and political independence. Aimless assistance will be useless. The ongoing political crisis following the July election is an outcome of an immature state of democracy. So, I would say that Japan must direct its assistance to help Cambodia establish democracy, good governance, reign of law, and respect human rights. At the same time, it must concentrate the focus of its assistance on the eradication of corruptions in politics and administration, the extermination of poverty, and the promotion of human security. Thank you.
Professor Imagawa, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was Professor Yukio Imagawa of Kanto Gakuen University, interviewed by Emily Cooper on the deepening political crisis in Cambodia.